That night, I realized my family didn't need me anymore. I was standing outside my own house, holding a small gift for my granddaughter, but no one opened the door. Through the window, I could see them, my ex-wife, my daughter, her new husband, all smiling, all laughing. It was Christmas, and they were happy. Without me. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they didn't hear the doorbell. But when my daughter walked past the window and looked right at me, she turned away. That hurt more than anything I've ever felt. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I just stood there in the snow, holding that small gift like it still meant something. And in that moment, something inside me changed. That was the night I promised myself they'd never forget me again. After that night, I didn't sleep much. I kept seeing that man in my head. The one sitting at my table, carving the turkey, smiling like he built that family himself. His name was Daniel. He used to be my friend. Back when things were normal, he'd come over for dinners. He helped me fix the garage once. He even played with my daughter when she was little. I trusted him, but everything started changing when I lost my job. I was out of work for months, trying to hold things together. My wife started spending more time with Daniel, just helping with bills, she said. Then came the messages I wasn't supposed to see, late-night texts, hidden calls, and before I could even understand what was happening, she filed for divorce. I didn't fight much back then. I thought keeping peace would help me stay close to my daughter. But I was wrong. Daniel took everything, my family, my house, even part of my savings. I tried moving on. I really did. But when I saw them all together that Christmas night, like nothing ever happened, something broke inside me. I wasn't angry at first. Just empty. But emptiness doesn't stay quiet for long. It turns into something else, rehook. And mine was turning into a plan. After that night, I didn't sleep much. I kept seeing that man in my head. The one sitting at my table, carving the turkey, smiling like he built that family himself. His name was Daniel. He used to be my friend. Back when things were normal, he'd come over for dinners. He helped me fix the garage once. He even played with my daughter when she was little. I trusted him, but everything started changing when I lost my job. I was out of work for months, trying to hold things together. My wife started spending more time with Daniel, just helping with bills, she said. Then came the messages I wasn't supposed to see, late-night texts, hidden calls, and before I could even understand what was happening, she filed for divorce. I didn't fight much back then. I thought keeping peace would help me stay close to my daughter. But I was wrong. Daniel took everything, my family, my house, even part of my savings. I tried moving on. I really did. But when I saw them all together that Christmas night, like nothing ever happened, something broke inside me. I wasn't angry at first. Just empty. But emptiness doesn't stay quiet for long. It turns into something else. Rehook. And mine was turning into a plan. After that night, I didn't sleep much. A week after that Christmas night, I got a message from an unknown number. It said, "You deserve to know the truth." No name, no details, just that one line. At first, I thought it was some kind of prank. But when I clicked on the attached photo, my hands started shaking. It was a picture of Daniel. He was standing outside a hotel with another woman. And that woman wasn't my ex-wife. I stared at that photo for a long time. Part of me wanted to delete it and forget everything. But something in my gut told me this wasn't just about cheating. There was something bigger, so I replied, "Who is this?" The person texted back, "Someone who knows what he's hiding." That one line was enough to wake up everything I'd been trying to bury. The anger, the humiliation, the need to know I didn't care about my ex-wife anymore. But my daughter, she still believed Daniel was a good man. She thought he saved her mom, and if what I saw was true, she was in danger of losing everything, just like I did. That night, I sat in my small apartment staring at the wall, trying to figure out what to do next. I didn't have much left, but I still had my name and I still had time. Rehook. And if Daniel built his perfect life on lies, I was going to tear it apart piece by piece. The next morning, I couldn't think about anything else. I went online, searched for Daniel's company, the one he started right after marrying my ex-wife. It looked successful. Clean website, happy clients, smiling faces. But I knew that man. He was never honest a day in his life. I scrolled through photos of him cutting ribbons, giving interviews, pretending to be a man of the people. And then I saw something familiar, the company logo. It looked almost exactly like the one I used for my old business, except mine went bankrupt 2 months before he launched his. That's when it hit me. He didn't just take my family. He took my work, my name, my design, everything. I couldn't sit still. I went to one of my old employees, a guy named Malik. He'd worked with me for years before the company fell apart. At first, he didn't want to talk. He said, "Let it go, man. You'll just hurt yourself more." But when I showed him the logo, his face went pale. "Daniel took your files," he whispered, "right before you left. Said he was saving them?" I didn't say a word. I just nodded. So this was it. The man who ruined my marriage also stole my business and rebuilt it as his own. I left Malik's shop feeling like my chest was on fire. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was purpose. Rehook. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to beg for my old life back. I was going to make Daniel watch his burn down, one piece at a time. I didn't rush. If I was going to take Daniel down, it had to be slow. The kind of revenge that eats a man from the inside out. I started small. I found out one of Daniel's suppliers was still someone I used to work with, a man named Arif. I met him one afternoon at a small cafe. He looked surprised to see me. "Didn't think you'd ever show your face again," he said. I smiled. Neither did I. We talked for a while. I didn't tell him what I was planning, just asked innocent questions. How business was going, what Daniel was like to work with. He sighed. "He's slick, but something's off. Half his payments come late. He blames clients, but I don't buy it. That was enough for me." Daniel wasn't just dirty emotionally. He was hiding something in his business, too. Over the next few weeks, I kept digging. I learned his company had fake contracts, unpaid workers, and a few angry investors. He'd built his empire the same way he built his life, on lies, and all I needed to do was push one domino. So I made an anonymous call to a local journalist, one who loved exposing corporate scams. I gave her everything, files, fake reports, bank transfers. I made sure it all pointed straight to Daniel. When the article came out, his face was on every local news channel. "Successful builder accused of fraud." I didn't smile. I just sat in silence, watching his perfect image start to crack, rehook. But the real storm hadn't even started yet, and because I was about to hit him where it hurt most, I didn't rush. If I was going to take Daniel down, it had to be slow. The kind of revenge that eats a man from the inside out. I started small. I found out one of Daniel's suppliers was still someone I used to work with, a man named Arif. I met him one afternoon at a small cafe. He looked surprised to see me. "Didn't think you'd ever show your face again," he said. I smiled. Neither did I. We talked for a while. I didn't tell him what I was planning, just asked innocent questions. How business was going, what Daniel was like to work with. He sighed. "He's slick, but something's off. Half his payments come late. He blames clients, but I don't buy it. That was enough for me." Daniel wasn't just dirty emotionally. He was hiding something in his business, too. Over the next few weeks, I kept digging. I learned his company had fake contracts, unpaid workers, and a few angry investors. He'd built his empire the same way he built his life, on lies. And all I needed to do was push one domino, so I made an anonymous call to a local journalist, one who loved exposing corporate scams. I gave her everything, files, fake reports, bank transfers. I made sure it all pointed straight to Daniel. When the article came out, his face was on every local news channel. "Successful builder accused of fraud." I didn't smile. I just sat in silence, watching his perfect image start to crack, rehook. But the real storm hadn't even started yet, and because I was about to hit him where it hurt most, I didn't rush. If I was going to take Daniel down, it had to be slow. The kind of revenge that eats a man from the inside out. I started small. I found out one of Daniel's suppliers was still someone I used to work with, a man named Arif. I met him one afternoon at a small cafe. He looked surprised to see me. Didn't think you'd ever show your face again, he said. I smiled. Neither did I. We talked for a while. I didn't tell him what I was planning, just asked innocent questions. How business was going, what Daniel was like to work with. He sighed. He's slick, but something's off. Half his payments come late. He blames clients, but I don't buy it. That was enough for me. Daniel wasn't just dirty emotionally. He was hiding something in his business, too. Over the next few weeks, I kept digging. I learned his company had fake contracts, unpaid workers, and a few angry investors. He'd built his empire the same way he built his life, on lies, and all I needed to do was push one domino. So I made an anonymous call to a local journalist, one who loved exposing corporate scams. I gave her everything. The morning the article hit, my phone started ringing. I didn't pick up. I wanted to hear it on the news first, to see how the story would land. When I turned on the radio, his name was everywhere. Daniel Cruz, accused of fraud, unpaid workers, shady contracts. The anchor kept saying the words shock and betrayal, like they were tasting them for the first time. I sat very still. The sound of the reporter's voice felt like a distant thing, like someone else's life was being narrated. Within hours, the damage spread. Clients canceled projects. Suppliers stopped returning calls. A local TV station did a piece, and the footage showed me, older, tired, editing a packet of documents at my kitchen table. They didn't know it then, but that packet would change everything. My daughter's name showed up in my phone as unknown caller. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened later, her voice broke like it always used to when she'd been a child who'd skinned her knee. "Dad, did you know?" she asked. "Are those things true?" Hearing her question was worse than watching his empire burn on TV. For years, she had defended him in front of me. For years, she had convinced herself their life was built on love and hard work. Now her voice sounded smaller, uncertain, like a lamp that might go out. She came over that night. She stood at my doorway and wouldn't sit. She kept looking at me like she was wondering when I'd snap, when I'd become the monster they'd called me. I wanted to reach out and tell her everything, to explain the way I'd watched my life be taken. But words felt clumsy, and she needed proof, not pleas. She'd been living with his lies for so long that the truth cut her clean. And when the truth cuts someone you love, it doesn't always heal them right away. Rehook. She walked away that night with questions. And I had one more piece I hadn't shown her yet. The next day, I went through the box I'd kept hidden under my bed for years. Old papers, bank slips, even an old USB drive. Everything Daniel had touched was in there. Contracts he'd stolen, blueprints he'd renamed, my company documents with his signature on them. Back then, I didn't have the courage to fight. I thought walking away would hurt less. But when I saw my daughter's face that night, the way her trust cracked, I knew I couldn't let it end like that. So I plugged in that USB drive. My hands were shaking. It still had my old folders, one labeled Client Deals 2017. Inside were screenshots of Daniel's emails to my wife. He wasn't just stealing business. He was planting fake numbers to make me look guilty of fraud, the same fraud he was now being accused of. I sat there, staring at the screen. My breath got heavy. He had destroyed me with the same tricks he was using to build his success now. I printed everything, every message, every file. Then I called my daughter. She didn't pick up. So I texted her one line. "You once said I lost everything because of my mistakes. Come see what really happened." She came the next morning. When she walked in, she didn't speak. Just sat across from me, nervous, like we were strangers. I handed her the file. She read for 10 minutes, quietly. Her eyes filled up, but she didn't cry. Not this time. When she finally looked at me, her voice was small. "He did all this to you?" I nodded. "To us." She didn't say another word. She just got up and left. And for the first time in years, I saw something in her eyes I hadn't seen since she was a kid. It wasn't hate anymore. It was guilt, rehook. And I knew, once guilt starts, it spreads fast, especially when the truth is just getting started. 2 days later, I got another call. This time, she didn't hide her number. Her voice sounded tired, shaky. "Dad, I need to see you." We met at a small park near the old house. She was wearing the same red scarf her mother had given her years ago. I hadn't seen it since before the divorce. When she sat down, she didn't speak right away. She just looked at the snow under her boots and whispered, "Everything you showed me, it's true." I could tell she hadn't slept. She said Daniel had been acting strange, locking his office door, whispering on calls, getting angry over little things. She'd asked him about the news, and he swore it was all lies. But then she found a second phone in his car. That was when she stopped defending him. "I didn't want to believe you," she said, voice breaking. "But I can't ignore it anymore." For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. She had built her world around him, the same way I once did around her mother. Now she was watching it fall apart, just like I had. I wanted to tell her everything, how deep his lies went, how long I'd known. But she stopped me. "Don't do anything stupid, Dad," she said. "Let me handle it." I nodded, even though I had no plan to listen. Because I could see it in her eyes, she still didn't understand who Daniel really was. She thought he'd just made mistakes, but I knew him better than anyone. Daniel wasn't scared of losing love. He was scared of losing control, and once he realized she was slipping away from him, things were going to get ugly. Rehook. I just didn't know then. The next time she called me, it wouldn't be from the park. It would be from the hospital. It was 2:17 a.m. when my phone rang. At first I thought I was dreaming, but when I saw my daughter's name on the screen and the word hospital flashing underneath, my heart dropped. Her voice was weak, trembling. "Dad, he hit me." I froze. I couldn't breathe for a second. She said Daniel came home drunk, furious after seeing his company's name all over the news. He blamed her for leaking something, said she was working with me. She tried to calm him down, but he snapped. He pushed her, she fell against the table, and that's how she ended up in the emergency room, bruised, shaking, broken. By the time I reached the hospital, she was lying there with a bandage on her head, her hand trembling as she tried to smile. "I'm okay," she whispered. But no, she wasn't. None of us were. The nurse said Daniel had been arrested but released on bail within hours. Money fixes everything, at least for people like him. When I heard that, something inside me went cold. All those years he ruined my name, took my family, stole everything that mattered. And now he'd hurt my daughter too. No, not again. That night, as I sat by her hospital bed, I realized there was no turning back. I had tried to stay quiet. I had tried to let karma do the job. But some men don't deserve patience. They deserve consequences. Before I left the room, I kissed my daughter's forehead and said, "Rest now. Let your father handle the rest." Rehook. And when I stepped out into that dark parking lot, I already knew exactly how Daniel's story was going to end. The next morning, I didn't go home. I went straight to his office. The guards at the front tried to stop me, but one look at the press vans outside made them hesitate. Everyone was already watching. The scandal was spreading faster than he could contain it. Inside, I found him sitting behind his desk, pale, shaking, surrounded by piles of documents. He looked nothing like the confident man I used to know. When he saw me, he tried to smirk. "You think this changes anything?" "You ruined yourself too, old man." I didn't answer right away. I just walked to his desk and placed a small flash drive in front of him. His smirk faded. "What's that?" "Everything you've done," I said quietly. "Every fake account, every bribe, every lie you buried under your company's name. You didn't just ruin lives, Daniel. You built your empire on them." He stared at me, trying to read if I was bluffing. But he knew. He knew I wasn't the man he used to push around anymore. "I already sent copies to the authorities," I continued, "and a few journalists who still care about truth. You won't talk your way out this time." He stood up, voice shaking with anger. "You think you're a hero? You think this makes you a good father?" I looked him straight in the eye. "No, but it makes me a man who finally stopped being afraid." Security burst in seconds later, followed by reporters shouting questions. I walked past them all, calm for the first time in years. Behind me, Daniel screamed my name, but his voice was drowned out by camera flashes and the sound of everything he'd built collapsing. Outside, The cold air hit my face, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Re-hook. But I didn't know. The story wasn't over yet, because Daniel wasn't going down quietly. For a few days, everything felt still. Daniel's arrest hit every news channel. Investors backed out, his company froze, and the world finally saw who he really was. I thought it was over. But men like Daniel, they don't fall quietly. 3 nights later, I noticed a car parked outside my house. Engine off, lights out. Just sitting there. At first, I thought I was imagining it. But when I came home again the next night and saw the same car, same shadowed figure inside, I knew it was him. I didn't call the police. I wanted to see how far he'd go, so I sat by the window all night watching, waiting. Around 2 a.m., the doorbell rang. Just once, I opened the door, and there he was. He looked nothing like the man from that office. His suit was gone, his hair a mess, eyes bloodshot and wild. "You ruined my life," he said, voice shaking. "No," I replied calmly. "You did that yourself." He stepped closer, fists clenched. "You think you won? You destroyed everything. My company, my marriage." "Your marriage?" I cut in, almost laughing. "You destroyed my family first, Daniel." I just showed the truth. For a moment, I saw it, the fear. The realization. He wasn't angry anymore. He was scared. He pulled something from his jacket, a knife. "Then maybe I should end this right now," he hissed. But before he could take another step, red and blue lights filled the yard. My daughter stood behind the officers, tears streaming down her face. She'd called them. She knew he'd come. They tackled him before he could move. He screamed my name again as they dragged him away, his voice echoing down the street like a ghost of everything he'd done. And for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I just felt done. Re-hook. But I didn't expect what my daughter said next. Words that hit harder than anything Daniel ever did. After the police took Daniel away, the street went silent. Only the sound of the wind and the faint flashing lights remained. My daughter walked toward me slowly, her face pale, her hands shaking. I thought she was just scared, but there was something else in her eyes. "Guilt. Dad," she whispered. "There's something I need to tell you." I nodded, waiting. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she said, "I knew some of the things he did. Not all of it, but enough to know he wasn't clean. I didn't want to believe it. I thought he'd change. And when you came to me with proof, I pushed you away because I couldn't handle being wrong." I didn't speak. I just listened. She kept crying, her voice breaking. "You were always trying to protect me, and I treated you like the enemy. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." I stepped closer and pulled her into a hug. For years, I'd waited to hear those words. Not because I needed to be right, but because I needed to feel like her father again. "It's over now," I whispered. "You don't need to apologize. You just need to live better than we did." She nodded against my shoulder. "I will." When she finally looked up at me, she smiled faintly. "You know, she'd be proud of you. She meant her mother, my ex-wife, the woman who had left me because Daniel convinced her I was worthless." I swallowed hard. Maybe, but I didn't do this for pride. I did it because I couldn't let the same lies destroy you too. We stood there for a while, the two of us, broken in our own ways, but somehow whole again. For the first time in years, I felt like a father. Re-hook. But I didn't know the biggest twist was still coming. Something Daniel had set in motion long before he was caught. A week passed. Daniel was behind bars, facing charges that would keep him there for a long time. My daughter started seeing a therapist trying to heal. And for once, the house was quiet, peaceful. Until that morning, I found an envelope slipped under my door. No return address, no stamp. Just my name written in Daniel's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a single page, a letter. "You think you won, but you didn't. Everything I did because I was better than you. I took your family, your name, your dignity, and you still had to destroy me to feel alive. But here's the truth. You never took anything back. You just became me. Daniel, I read those words over and over, trying to feel something, anger, satisfaction, guilt. But I felt nothing. Because he was wrong, I hadn't become him. I'd simply stopped letting men like him control me. I burned the letter in the sink, watched the paper curl and turn to ash. As the last corner disappeared, I whispered, "You can't haunt me anymore." Then I walked outside. My daughter was sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, smiling softly. "Morning, Dad." That simple word, Dad, meant more to me than any victory. It meant the story was over. The wounds were still there, yes, but they'd finally started to heal. As we sat there in silence, watching the sunrise, I realized revenge hadn't given me peace. Truth had, and maybe, in the end, that was all I ever wanted. Final line. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't destroying someone else. It's rebuilding the parts of yourself they tried to break.